with the shocking details. Now, we're going to be concealing her identity, even disguising her voice over her own safety concerns. Thank you for joining us. You saw something suspicious, we're going to get right into it tonight, happening on the side of a Biden-Harris van in the parking lot of the polling station. Now, walk the audience through what happened.
I went out to go for a walk on my break, and I probably had a 150, 175-foot stretch where I was walking. The Biden van was parked along this stretch, and I was walking to it, so about 150 feet. I was walking, and I could see these people hand over what appeared to be white envelopes, just hand over onto this table. And as I got closer, the envelopes were being torn open. There were two people dropping the envelopes and two people ripping them open and turning and facing the van and drawing on them or marking them. And as I got closer, as I was walking, they would put things down and pick more paper up and mark on the van and then put it down and pick some more up. And as I got closer, I thought, those are ballots. And I didn't, I was in my polling uniform, basically. And as I walked by, I looked and I thought, those are ballots. And it kind of was an odd, like, what are they doing? There were 4 total people, but only 2 were marking and opening the envelopes and the paper. And as it took about a 6-minute walk to walk this parking lot, and I did it. I just walked my entire lunch hour. And so I came around a second time, and they're still opening and marking the ballots.
But you didn't say anything? You didn't say anything when you first saw it? I mean, how close were you to be able to see a ballot?
Well, as I was walking towards them, I was,
So that was insane. That was absolutely off the walls bonkers. From Laura Ingraham, Fox News, her producers, whatever, to make that interview happen. What you ostensibly saw, what you were told you saw, was an interview Laura did with a Nevada poll worker, somebody that supposedly, during the course of their break when they were counting ballots in Nevada, saw a Biden-Harris truck drive up and basically start handing out ballots, and they were marking ballots with other people in the vicinity of the polling station, with the basic argument being that after the votes had been counted or started to be counted after Election Day, a Biden-Harris truck directly was delivering votes to the polling station or delivering blank ballots, which were then being marked for Biden-Harris at that Nevada polling station. And they have this whole big rigmarole where the person's, behind a screen so you can't see them, and they're wearing a hat, and they have this voice, distorter on them so you can't really tell who they are. And I have to say, the only logical explanation here is that this is totally fake and that Fox News is lying to you. There's no other reasonable explanation here. Or this person really wasn't a poll worker and they're totally making this up, or maybe they were and they're totally making it up. But I think the most logical explanation is this is 100% a fabrication by Fox News. Probably not the corporation at the very top, but of the specific people working on this particular show. I don't think there's any other more reasonable explanation. Some people, it's actually kind of funny because it's not unbelievable when you listen to their mannerisms, but some people suggest this was Donald Trump doing the interview, and they say she, but the way the person talks in certain parts sort of sounds like Donald Trump with some of their discourse later on in the interview. But the point is, it's not Trump, but it's also not a real story. Look, there have been no instances of voter fraud in this election, no verifiable instances. Trump's lawyers have gone to court and they've either had their cases thrown out, or when actually asked by judges, many judges appointed by Republicans, and said to the Trump lawyers, sir, ma'am, do you actually have anything that isn't wasting my time? Do you have any proof or even something approaching proof of actual voter fraud or of the destruction of certain ballots or the addition of ballots after the deadline or of fake ballots or fraudulent votes or whatever? And basically, Trump and his team can only say no. When they're actually in courts, not in the media where you can sort of say what you want, but in actual courts of law, they are basically admitting there's nothing here. There's nothing. This is an absurd story, guys, because we have to be honest. If you were going to do this, why would you use a Biden-Harris van? Like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you use a Biden-Harris van when you could go down to any rental company, let alone just getting somebody else's van, and get a nondescript van to commit the voter fraud with? Like, look, I get, like, you know, maybe people can be stupid, but, like, that just shows me that Fox is trying to concoct this story, and by saying the Biden-Harris van is there, they can immediately make the assumption that, oh, this is directly an operative from the Biden-Harris campaign. That, you know, if it was just a nondescript van, then maybe, you know, it would be more plausible, but it wouldn't be as salacious. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Again, I know Nevada's not the best example because the down-ballot races weren't quite as impactful. But if this election was rigged, the Democrats would have rigged it harder. They would have. Right? Like, the polls already indicated a 10-point lead for Biden in some cases. So they could have rigged it at a 7-point lead for Biden. Why didn't they? Make it plausible. Why in states where apparently, because there was systemic voter fraud, did Biden do better than the Senate candidates? Why did they allow, in Maine, Biden to win, but not the Democratic Senate candidate? Why did they allow Biden to win Georgia outright, but put Jon Ossoff behind David Perdue in their one-on-one contest? It's going to a runoff, but why not just give Joe Biden the victory as well as Jon Ossoff? Why? Why? And the answer is there's no answer, except for the fact that the ballots are actually all legitimate, and Joe Biden won this election by well over 5 million votes, and that includes strong victories in most of the swing states and much stronger swing state victories than Donald Trump had 4 years ago. It's just another part of this ridiculous soft coup attempt by Trump and sycophantic forces in his own party, his own family, and friendly right-wing media. Again, these people are shameless. Just minutes ago, Ivanka Trump tweeted that, oh, you know, the AP, Associated Press, has called the election for Donald Trump in Alaska a really big win for Trump in Alaska. Congratulations to Republicans for this great victory. Thank you, Alaska. Of course, AP has also called many of the states they are currently disputing. So why is it that the fake left-wing, elite media of Associated Press is part of the scam when it applies to the states you lost, but when it's with the states you won, they're a bastion of credibility, and you're banking off them to make the media call. You're banking off the media to make the call in the election. It's absurd. Things like this absolutely, dissolve even any lingering bits of credibility at Fox News and other right-of-center media. Like, all this is a fake interview. There's no voter fraud. Joe Biden's going to be the next president of the United States. And Republicans, Trumpers, you just got to cope.